Yo, 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 what it is, what it do? I'm just kidding. I have no idea why I did that. Today we're here to talk about this Starfall Sabers Crossguard. This thing is a beast. Nick said to me in his text thread when he was going to send this that this is roughly like 80% handmade and maybe 20% found objects. So Bryan Lynn did the crossguard engraving. On one side it says always, and on the other side it says Onward. So I believe this side says Onward, this side says always. Now each tine, or each crossguard has the same word on either side, so it's either always onward or onward always, depending on which way you're looking at it. So not that that really means much, but anyway. But yeah, really cool, just giant, hefty device here. So this has a 7/8 emitter with a blade plug and a thumb screw for our blade retention, so we can pop that out. Nick did ask that I print a little plastic piece so we don't cause metal to conduct on the emitter. And yeah, so we'll just set that off to the side for now. But yeah, the really cool concept of a saber. So on this side, we've got our Kessel Custom Sabers / Saberbay 8mm tactiles. So when the saber is facing you, left side is power and right side is aux. Or if you think of it, the opposite side of the blade retention, it's really the only way you can actually see both buttons, just because the angle that they're at, if you're looking at it the other way, you don't see them. But yeah, depending on how you hold it, you know, you can use your index or your thumb for either power or aux. And I decided to keep within the theme of this kind of gold and silver, so I used the brass barrel with the aluminum actuator there to kind of, yeah, just keep that going. So you got a good clicky feel. You can actually tell when you've pressed something. And it's above this Howlite is what he told me. This is a stone on each side. So this one stays on the emitter side, and when you unscrew the grip, this side stays on that. So you definitely want to be very cautious when you go to unscrew it and kind of separate it to operate the saber, because those can be fragile. Stone is, you know, brittle, so you don't want to drop this. So, but this got the resin greeblie chassis treatment, a bunch of cool onboard LEDs and such. So let's hop down to the table. Let's talk about that. We'll show off a couple presets so we can see some of those independent blade styles, and then we'll hop out. We'll put a blade in it. Probably won't go through too much. Try to breeze through most of that info, and then we'll call it a day. So let's hop down. So yes, this takes up quite a bit of space here. I'm already off camera with one of the crossguard member pieces. So again, we've got that engraving here and this cool feature for the blade. I don't know what you would call these, but you know, blade guards or whatever. So we've got a Shtok Eco V4 Neopixel for our emitter with like 30 some odd onboard 1515 Neopixels. So that'll just mimic what the blade does. The saber is on right now, so we're not seeing anything there. And the blade plug also has the tiniest amount of shine through. So where this little kind of nose cone sticks into the inner portion, there's a little bit of not much shine through though. So, and again, to reiterate, left is power, right is aux, when the blade retention's thumb screw is away from you. So how we get to everything is we just want to unscrew the grip, which comes apart here. So we want to make sure we're good and steady on our grip there, and then just undo that. And there's plenty of threads here. So, you know, once this is buttoned up, it's good to go. So we'll take that apart. Like I said, saber is already on. We've got a cool little crystal chamber here. So single Neopixel, lighting that up. There's a little bit of a clear part of the crystal itself. So, and then we just hit our 5-minute mark. So if we hit, so to wake it back up, there's a little bit of a clear. So on camera, it does look well lit, but when you're looking at it straight on, sometimes it'll look like just the bottom and just the tip are lighting up because there's not a lot of imperfections in there. But on camera, we're looking pretty good. So we'll call that good. kill switch up top, so if you're just pulling the grip off to turn it on and off to play with it, you don't have to pull it all the way off and you can get started right away. 18650 with my battery wrap there. Go ahead and pop that out real quick. So we can see the Starfall logo in there. Spring side's your negative, positive terminal clearly indicated. Flat side of your battery to the spring, nipple goes to the nipple, right? Yep. And then, like I said, my resin greeblie chassis. Now this is one that I did collab with. I've used this design before with a different like battery tray. I teamed up with Darth Alice, Todd at Darth Alice, for like a clear grip on like a wasp waist Star Killer or whatever. And so that's why we've got all these cool blinkies on here, because it shined through on that hilt. So we've got a strip of 2020 Neopixels there. We've got the Shadowfoil Hangman Array. Now this is subdivided into 3 independent blade styles. I'll turn it back on. So on this particular preset, all 3 of them are doing the same thing, but depending on which preset we're on, that may do something else. And so you can see that strip there. On this side, we've got a baffle greeblie with another 2020 strip under it, and then 2 square LEDs in red and blue. And again, all of these react to blaster blocks, and they'll change animation styles depending on which preset we're on and if we're on or off. But if we take a quick look at the resin details, I do my typical paint job. I tried to stick with the theme mostly of silver and gold. Phil Beaudry, I think he's removed his social media accounts recently, but I mentioned this to Darth Alice, and when Darth Alice shared this, I don't know if he mentioned it, but this Hangman Array, kind of the detail around it was something that Phil did something similar. I did my take on his concept. So I want to give him credit for that. But like I said, I don't think he's got social accounts anymore, and he just makes stuff for himself. But yeah, just want to give credit where credit's due. 28mm KR bass speaker, Proffie V3.9 in white to kind of go with the concept here. My config's on the SD card, and you know, if you want to start using it, there's plenty of space on there. So let's just turn it on and we'll see what's going on. So this is one of 3 sound fonts provided by the end client. This is Excalibur from Jay DeLorean. So the main blade style is from him. And then I just did all of the rest of the accents based on what I thought would fit the concept. And so, yeah. This is a version of if Jar Jar Binks was a secret Sith. So here we can see that subdivision clearly working. The middle strip's doing one thing, the outer 2 are off. Colors changed on this guy. And we don't have the baffled greeblie on until the saber turns on. And it does that. Like I said, all of them react to blaster blocks and clashes, lockups. So, one more. This is the last font that the customer provided, Pongkrell. Now, I did do a green main blade, but because Pongkrell goes bad in the Clone Wars, I have his crystal as red. So yeah, just something unique there. All right, so let's put a blade in it. Again, we're gonna make sure that we're fully engaged on both of these things. So this takes a 7/8 diameter Neopixel blade. I wanna make sure that's clear. And then we'll set it on those pins and cinch down our blade retention. I'm using my Quantum blade, which is 36 inches. That's what this is programmed for. Hopefully the customer reaches out to somebody, I think they're called Mystic Knights, and gets like a custom polycarbonate blade in like a flat style. I've seen it done on other like non-in-universe hilts where they do some weird, like either like a katana style or like a broadsword style. I think they're the ones that maybe helped make some of the Zelda for Jawa's Junkyard. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it would really match this saber. But this is the Ponkrell, the last. So again, like I said, I got the green blade. He and the Jar Jar Sith one have quotes. So when the saber's on, if you hold power for 2 seconds, you'll get a force effect, and the blade will animate for as long as the sound effect is playing. So on this particular preset, it's unstable. Now, if we want to flip between force player and quote player, point the hilt down.
I can sense your fear. Seeking.
Same thing, hold power for 2 seconds.
I'm in command.
Now you'll notice the blade is not doing anything because we're not playing a force effect, we're playing a quote.
Impressive.
So if we flip that again, go back into force player, now it goes unstable and we got a different sound effect. So some of the Starfall fonts also have quotes, but not all of them do. Just letting you know so that if you add other sound fonts in the future, that feature's already turned on. You just, depending on how you're playing with it, flip back and forth between quote player and force player with that. So we will go back one more time just so we can.
This is my apprentice, Garfix.
So Jar Jar. So got a Sith colored blade. All right, hold force. Now, even though he said something, we get a sound effect, so we're a force player. But if we do switch, I gotta hold it for long enough. So now we're in quote player.
Well, that smells stinking.
So I have engaged the blade each of these times with the power button, which means we're in regular mode. If we do a gesture, which is twist on, we're going to be in battle mode, and that means we don't have to hold a button to engage a lockup. We'll also bypass any preons that may exist. So I don't know if these sound fonts that were provided by the customer have them, but now we're in battle mode. So a light clash will still get us like just a glancing blow, right? But a hard one will engage the lockup, as you can see, until you pull away from that position. So again, light. And lockups are also, if we want to do like melt from the side, right? Or drag if we're pointing down, but I'm not going to do that with this giant saber. So we'll go back to Excalibur. So this is the first font provided by the customer, and I think this is the one that they really want to match the theme of this saber. So this comes from Jay DeLorean, and this blade style is his blade style. So I didn't do anything with it. I just picked one and put it on there. So all of the other accent styles are just what I thought would look good. So that is that. Now we're in the Starfall. So again, I've hit the power button. If I want to engage a lockup, I hold either aux or power as I clash. And for as long as I'm holding that button, I'll be in a lockup until I let go. But twist off or twist on. And now we're in that battle mode where if I want to do another kind of lockup, So moving on. So if we want to, on the fly, get like a battery level, we can hold aux and tap power. And what I've done is I've provided a voice pack for each of the Starfall fonts that I knew who the character was based around, and if there was one provided by Brian Connor. So
Battery level 66%.
So this one's Ben Kenobi. The first one would have been like Vader, and this one, because Infinium has a purple blade, is kind of a Mace theme. So Mace will be our guide.
Battery level 65%.
And that is so that if you choose to get into edit mode, and I don't cover that here, I'll have a printout for it. The voice prompts will guide you through all the menu systems, and you'll be able to kind of figure out which things you want to change, whether that's a blade style, a font, a certain setting, you can do that on the fly. But just in the off state, we can also hold power and tap aux to get into volume.
Enter volume menu.
I've set this to
Maximum
2750.
volume.
So if we want to back it off just a little bit,
Exiting volume menu.
and then either of the buttons will get out and save that setting.
Hero's Journey.
When the blade is on, if we want to do a quick, maybe we just don't like green, we can hold aux and tap power, and we'll get into color change on the fly. On the fly, color change will only affect the main blade. All of the accent pixels remain unchanged. So we got that little chime, and now
Red. Orange, red.
we
Dark
can
orange.
hear Luke telling us which color we're on.
Orange.
And if we want to accept that color, we can hit power, but I'm gonna hit revert, which is aux, because Nick has asked us to program these specific fonts to specific colors.
Revert.
So for instance, like this is supposed to be Luke's font. So with regard to gesture control, we will bypass preons if we twist on. There are 4 fonts in the Starfall package that have preons, so we will bypass that. If we want the preon to occur, we have to hit power. So this is one of those fonts. This is Ruin. So it's just that little bit of emitter flare before the ignition happens. So if I twist on, we won't get that. We'll just get the ignition. So that's just up to you on how you want to use, whether you like battle mode or not.
Reconcile.
And one other caveat is about the color change on the fly. The only font, or I should say preset, that does not apply to is Cornhorn, and that's just because we have color change direct, which just flip-flops back and forth between white and purple. So in our regular mode, we're in white. Hold aux, tap power. We're gonna go to purple. Now I did do that on the crystal as well. So again, this is the only preset where the crystal changes with the blade color. Everything else will stay the same if you decide to change it. So if I hold aux and tap power, you can see the crystal went to white and so did the blade. So again, that is Cornhorn. Everything else, if you want to change independent colors of all the various accent styles, you'll need to jump into edit mode. And I've ordered them such that it goes to the thing that you most want to change probably to the least. So it starts with your main blade color, crystal color, your baffled greeblie, your exposed strip, your hangman array in left, mid, and right, and then the red accent pixel and the blue accent pixel. So 9 total blades that can be changed, and you can do whatever you want with them. So that is that.
Legacy.
Now,
Ascension.
the very last preset, even though I showed battery level on the fly, is a battery level preset, and I only really include it because it used to be a thing that we'd have in Proffie. But it also has some Easter eggs on this particular font if you want to find it. When the blade is in, because this is a program for a 36-inch link, if it was fully charged battery, this little bubble here that's kind of pulsating and floating would be all the way to the tip, and it would be green. As it depletes, it turns from blue to yellow, orange to red, as, like I said, the battery depletes. And sometimes you will get artifacting in the sound quality, slow, glitchy, weird sounds, or even just straight up speaker crackle. It's nothing to be worried about, just means you need to charge your battery. And if you have a bunch of 18650 spare, you can pull the one that I've provided out, pop a new one in, and you're good to go. But if you don't have the blade in and you're just kind of scrolling through and you're looking at your chassis, a couple of the accent pixels will go from green to red. So the crystal there, this strip, will go from green to red. Green being good and red being bad, obviously. But also, like I said, hold aux, tap power in the off state.
Battery level 61%.
And you'll get a percentage. Now that percentage could change depending on what's going on with the Saber, if it's, lighting a bunch of other colors and whatnot. But yeah, so that is the Saber.
Excalibur.
When we're ready, we can take the blade out. Pop the blade plug back in. Hit our retention here. And then pull the grip off again, holding firmly on each of the stone pieces so we don't drop them. And like I said, I got the kill switch high up on the chassis so you don't have to pull the grip all the way off. You can just pull it to there and then turn it off. You can see all the accents went off. So that is the Crossguard from Starfall to the client. Again, like I said, I will have a printout covering all of the functions that I haven't discussed in this demo video, and it will have a link on one of the last few pages that takes you to the FET263 website. There you can read more about his prop file. He's also got a plethora of videos about Proffie and coding different blade styles, and if you want to, like I said, learn how to program yourself, you can watch a bunch of his videos or read some of his pages. And then if you have any questions about your specific saber after that fact, you can email me. To everyone else out there, thanks for watching these, and may the force be with you.